Welcome to the Voice of Reason Sports Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the show, leave a comment, and click that like button.
We're back for another edition of the Voice of Reason Sports Podcast. This is the marvelous one with Don, back at it again. What's good with you, Don?
Yeah, man. Hey, another exciting week as always.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. That Bengals Chiefs game, man. That Joker. That was a game for the ages, man. I enjoyed every bit of it.
Oh yeah, yeah. It nailed bite all the way to the end, and I think it gave us what we wanted. We wanted to see a good, strong fight, and I think they did everything that they were supposed to do.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, man. And I must say, Patrick Mahomes' legend and legacy is growing even more, man. Like to play on a high ankle sprain and make some of the throws that he made, the pinpoint passing, and at the end of the game to make that run to keep his team hopes alive of closing out that game. That was just truly remarkable, man. Uh,
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you looking at him, he stayed in the pocket, which was no surprise to everybody. I mean, he's sitting in there, he riding around with one donut on, so you know that he's not gonna be able to peel out like he wanted. But
Right.
he was right. Even though he had a donut, he was firing that rock, boy.
Right,
He
he
was
was.
yes, sir. 29 to 43, 326, two touchdowns, no
Yes.
interceptions.
And did you see some of those touchdown passes? Like, I mean, in between defenders, pinpoint, you know, tough passing windows again on a bad leg, like stepping up. Two defenders coming at him, stepping up, throwing it off the wrong foot. Dude, like I said, the legend grows with this dude, man.
But that just shows how him and that offensive coordinator, they've been gelling and they've been doing their homework because he read the defense and he knew how they were going to react to certain routes. And when they overcompensated for one route, he knew that he had a short window
Yep.
and he threw the ball where it needed to go with at the right time with the short window. And as you said before, off the back foot, which goes in attributes to his that arm strength that I was talking about earlier.
Mm. And the funny thing about it, right? As I watched that game and all that I saw Patrick Mahomes doing, I never paid attention to the fact that Marquez Valdez Scantling had like 116 yards receiving. Like, dude was balling,
Easy.
but you didn't even notice it.
Oh, hey, but the crazy part is that goes to show, as we talk about in the NFL, in most teams, we talk about the next man up program. I think they exhibited because you're going down that roster, and now you're looking at maybe he's like what third on the depth chart, maybe fourth or
Mm,
fifth,
mm, yeah, yeah.
and he's creating a separation, and he's running the routes that he's supposed to run.
But is he? I mean, is he creating a separation or is Patrick Mahomes throwing him open?
He's
Is
creating so and see, and that's the see. So here's the thing. I'm glad you said that. The art of separation is on both hands.
Yes,
Sometimes
absolutely.
most quarterbacks need more than others.
Yes, yes. And sometimes it's about anticipation, right? Throwing to a spot where you know the receiver is going to be, or throwing to a spot where the defender can't make a play on the ball.
Yes, I seen sometimes where he threw incompletions just so he won. I'm not getting sacked, so I'm not gonna get nobody no free hits. And at the same time, I'm not going to throw an interception as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, man. I mean, I was impressed with him, dude. He was on point. I think for years to come, we're gonna love this duel between Mahomes and Burrow. I think this is gonna be, the next Manning versus Brady playoffs for years to come. Don't shake your head. Don't shake your head.
So 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 let's go and talk about it. I'm glad you talked about
Mm,
that other side of that rock because that
mm.
other side of that rock was pitiful.
That
And when
that
I say that, because if you're going to say that you're about to unseat someone that's considered the GOAT, then you must put up a GOAT performance. Right now, you was walking around with no injuries, You walked around with a healthy, you had all your weapons. So this was the time for you to actually go there and compete. And I got it. You had a short line and everything. But as I was telling a lot of people, you know, can he make up for the gaps that you're going to have, as you say? Can you make the compensations when the gaps are there? And the answer is no. I'm gonna tell you
Mm,
why I know that. I told everyone Christmas came early. He played the Baltimore Ravens, and we didn't have Lamar. Hey, Merry Christmas. And
mhm.
then he played the Bills in the snow, whereas the Bills, I mean, let's go to face it. I got it. That's your home field, but they're not built for it.
Right,
They're
right,
not built for the snow. Their run game is terrible.
right.
That game in that old line is inexperienced, and that's all they had to do was run block. Go back and look at
Yeah,
look at the
yeah,
last episode. I said the same thing. So let's talk about that. 5 sacks,
yeah,
12 hits on the quarterback, 2 interceptions.
yeah. Burrow's
That
under
sounds like a
duress.
terrible day.
Yeah, he was under duress.
And here's the thing: a lot of people say, "Well, a quarterback." I said this shows me that even the guy with the bad will knew that he had to be mobile
Mm,
because that was the deciding factor in the game.
you're right.
And then Burrows, he just stayed in the pocket. He depended on that pocket. And I hear people talk about, yeah, you need somebody to pass out of the pocket, pass out of the pocket. Well, guess what? He gonna die in that pocket too.
Yep,
5 sacks, 12 hits on you, and then you was so under the rest that some of the hits that two of the hits that probably could have hit you, you turned them into interceptions because you
yep,
rushed the throw that you shouldn't have made.
yep. And that's why I say it's just as dangerous standing in the pocket when these guys teeing off on you as it is getting out of the pocket and just sliding to the ground.
How soon we forget that Joe Burrows, I mean, when he came in the league, he got hurt, didn't he?
Yep, blew out his
He
knee.
blew
Yep,
out his knee. That
yep,
same line couldn't protect.
yep.
So I don't talk about the other shows, but I can say I agree with some of these announcers that talked about the same thing that I just talked about. You want to
Mm.
crown them, crown them. You want to crown them. But I'm not crowning them.
You not ready to crown him?
Not while Lamar's still there.
Uh, two
No.
two AFC championship games in a row.
What did you win? What did
I
you
just,
win? You showed up. You showed up to the fight, and you
I'm,
get nothing.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Chris,
Y'all got.
listen. I'm telling you, this game deal, those two games. Hey, I said it and I proved it because that old line could not protect him, and it's not going to
Right,
protect him. And the worst thing about not being able to protect him is that he's not mobile.
right, right. No,
It's
I
not that.
agree.
Listen, as a quarterback, he can make all the pro throws.
I
Let me put it out
yeah,
there because people gonna
yeah.
say, "Oh, you hating on him because you're a Baltimore Raven." No, I'm not hating on him. I'm talking about facts. It's called the voice of reason.
Right, right. No, no, nobody's disagreeing with you on that. But we can't deny the fact that he was successful even with this
Mhm.
porous line. And right now, that should be the focus of the Cincinnati Bengals is
Not
to
to
get
have
that
that,
offensive line better.
not to have that many weapons because I mean, you had Higgins, Chase, Boyd,
Yeah,
Hurts, Mixon. Come on,
but there was times he didn't even have a
that's a
chance to
lot.
look down the
Hold on,
field.
S- that's a lot of weapons right there.
Yeah,
That's a lot of weapons that most quarterbacks don't have.
but Don, there was times he didn't even have a chance. That rush was on him.
You put the ball in your playmaker's hands because guess what? Guess what? Mahomes found a way.
Yeah,
He got
yeah,
the ball out of his hands. He wasn't mobile.
yeah,
Everybody knew he was sitting in the pocket. He got rid of the ball.
yeah. No, he balled out. He balled out.
You're not gonna make 80-yard passes and 60-yard passes.
Mm.
Not no. You gotta get the ball out your hands to your playmakers, and he's not doing that. I blame the offensive coordinator for not making those adjustments when you knew that the Heat was on. First three play of the games, where were they? They were
Well,
sacks.
but no, you check it out. Check it out. I don't know if you saw the adjustment that they made. They started a max protect. They kept both running backs in the game to block.
Which means less receivers,
Yes, only
which
three
means that
receivers on a route.
I have more coverage. I have more coverage.
Yes, they had the five offensive linemen. They left the running back and a tight end to block. So that's eight with the quarterback. Eight. back in the pocket, only three receivers out in the route.
That's pitiful.
That is pitiful.
Somebody on the line ain't earning their pay.
So they had to max protect. And the times Burrow got sacked, even in the max protect. One, because the Chiefs have the coverage now because they got more defenders than receivers out on a route. And then two, the offensive line it still wasn't good enough. And I
How
thought
did
they came of age from that game against Buffalo. But they really showed their colors in this game against the
that
Chiefs.
Buffalo game? Stop giving them credit for just run blocking.
Yeah, but look at the Chiefs don't have a good defense. And they ate those boys alive.
But the Chiefs were number one in sacks.
Hmm. Well, well, it is what it is. The Chiefs in the Super
Yes.
Bowl, and the Bengals are going home. So, well, let's look at this other game, man. Let's talk about your offensive rookie
Ooh.
of the year versus the
Hey, hold
league.
on, hold on, hold on, hold
The
on. Let's go ahead and put it out there. Let's put it on wax first
what?
because hey, I made a game breaking change.
Was that?
Like
Josh
5 minutes.
Johnson wasn't getting in the game?
No, no, 5 minutes before the game. I
Oh,
know.
go,
Hey, I'm
no,
gonna go on record. I'm gonna go on record and say
no,
it is that
no,
I changed my pick
no,
5 minutes before the game because I
no,
had to. I realized frat before stats.
no,
So
no.
I went with my brother
No,
from
I'm not
another
letting
side
you.
five,
I'm not letting you
the
do it. I'm not
quarterback,
letting you have it.
and I said,
No,
you know what? I'm gonna ride it with him because he came there with the purple rain outfit on,
nah,
minus the Prince bike, and I said,
nah,
be out,
man.
bruh. Do your
all
thing.
all the trash you talked to E-Dub about what the 49ers was going to do and how great the defense is and Purdy, you laughed at me because I was like, why is this dude considered for offensive rookie of the year? This love affair with Purdy and the 49ers, and they stunk it up. Yeah, you knew they were going to lose this game. No, no. No, I told you when you sent me that text, no way, man. Nah, you stick with the 49ers.
I gotta take credit for it because DraftKings said I was good.
You talk way too much trash to E-Dub and Eagles fans, yo.
Hey,
Nah,
E-Dub, I owe you one, baby. I owe you one.
nah.
I had to go to work and tell E-Dub, hey, I made sure I put it out there
Uh,
5 minutes before the game.
Yo, he sure did. But I was like, nah, stick with the 49ers. But no, I mean, this game was pitiful. Like, it got to the point where the 49ers playbook was just to hand it off. They gave up. I just don't understand this mindset if you don't have a guy that's played quarterback throughout, college and high school, then you can't play anybody else at that position. Like me, if I was Kyle Shanahan, I would have put McCaffrey or I would have put Debo Samuel at quarterback and ran like a wildcat offense. Because if Purdy can't throw the ball, there's no point in having him out there because now he's just wasted. He's a wasted spot on that team. Now it becomes 11 on 10 football because all he does is hand it off and he gets out of the way. It was just like, are you just giving up? So I felt the 49ers just gave up on this game. And I thought their defense was playing great. And to the point where the Eagles was like, you know what? We're gonna run RPOs all game and make that defensive end make a decision. And that defensive end stayed home and they just kept running right up the middle. So, hey, if you're gonna play, you're gonna give up on a game like that, well, just go home.
But I tell you this, Marv, and this is bad management, bad GM 101. And you should have saw that your team was postured for the playoffs. But at the same time, you should have had a contingency plan in order. And I got it. You had a backup, but if your emergency quarterback can't be able to play, that means that you weren't prepared to win. You weren't prepared. I mean, you have to plan for the worst case, worst scenario. If the first quarterback goes down, the second, because guys realizing that you're one hit away from changing the game around, and with concussion protocol, which we didn't have back in the earlier days. Because remember, concussion protocol took out the took out the backup quarterback.
Yeah, it took out that third string quarterback, but every team has an emergency quarterback. Like with the Saints, it's Alvin Kamara. He's the emergency quarterback. He'll get back there and shotgun and he'll, do a wildcat thing and he'll throw it whenever he can. They can do that with Debo. They can do that with I forget who's the fullback. Why not do that? Why have a guy that's broken out on the field that's just taking up space?
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Have a real quarterback. And yes, guess what? He may not ever play, and he may just be a full-time cheerleader.
Well,
But
I
that's called disaster recovery. And in our world we have that.
but I get why not having a guy that's all he does is just quarterback. I get why not having that
No,
because
I don't get. I don't get
but
that.
hear me
Want to
out.
tell you why? Hear me
But
out. With this is. It's because of the percussion. Remember, back in the day, we could let somebody play out there, and they could be out there throwing out of a sling. But with percussion protocol and the way the NFL is trying to save their image and dealing with
no, I
the
get that. I get that. But you're taking up a roster spot that could be given to someone else that's actually doing something. Like you got a guy that's literally there doing nothing. When you can give that roster spot to somebody on special teams that actually has a role that's doing something. Like you said, may not ever play. So to me, that there are guys who are playing other positions that used to be quarterbacks. Yeah, there's plenty of them. Debo Samuel probably played quarterback in Pop Warner and in high school.
No, Marv. With this one, I guess we both gonna have to disagree because right now, guess what? They had a backup quarterback, and guess what? He was saying, "You're not gonna send me out there because guess what? I don't even know because he's not a real quarterback. He was a tight end or what was he? A fullback?
He
You
was a
know,
fullback.
he was
Put
a
him out.
fullback.
They never put him out there. That's the thing. They never put
He's
him.
not
They
a
never tried.
quarterback, Marv. He's not a quarterback. And here's what I say. Worst case worst, I'd rather give somebody a free ticket to be a full-time cheerleader to help with the game plan. Well, okay, you shaking your head, but guess what?
I wouldn't do it.
I
I
know
wouldn't
you
waste
wouldn't
a
do it,
roster.
but hey, listen, and guess what? They didn't waste a what? They didn't waste a roster spot, and guess where it got him?
But
It got him sent
but
home. It got him blown out.
I
Is
don't think that was the
You
case.
can't do it.
I think they have an emergency quarterback and chose not to use him and just went out there and
He's
just
not a
gave
quarter
up. They
because he's
waved the
not a
white flag.
quarterback.
They
Marv,
waved the white flag.
yes, want to tell you why? Because he's not a quarterback.
How do you know that?
Huh? He's not a quarterback.
It doesn't. It's
They
not that
didn't send him out there, Marv. They
you
sent the
can't.
guy out there to
You
hand off.
cannot
So
tell me that
listen,
these guys
yes, I
can't
can.
throw a football.
No, I didn't tell you that. They told you that when they sent somebody out there to just do handoffs. That tells you how terrible their emergency option was.
That tells me that they
How much?
gave up.
No, it tells you how much faith they had in it too.
I I don't get it. I mean, we've seen the Dolphins do this, where they put Ronnie Brown out there at
For two,
quarterback.
for 2 plays, maybe 3 plays, not for the whole game.
No. It wasn't no two. Yes, they did. They ran it the whole game. They This is back in the day when they were doing that Wildcat offense. You can do it.
You
And to
can't.
me, the problem was what I think happened. It wasn't that the guy couldn't play quarterback. They didn't practice. It never clicked in their head that hey, we might actually need to practice with the emergency quarterback
So
at
so so,
quarterback.
and that's why. So Marv, want to tell you why? That's why I say have a quarterback. Because guess what the quarterback's going to do? He's going to practice being a quarterback.
Yeah,
Hello, he's going to practice being a quarterback.
yeah.
He's
Well,
not going to practice being a fullback. That's
yeah,
why. That's why I say yes. You burn that bridge. Because they why? Because you had a fullback, and guess what? He said that if the fullback get hurt or the tight end get hurt, I'm gonna give me some burn. So let me go ahead and read this. And guess what? I ain't know the plays, coach. And that's real. It doesn't Marv. That's real talk. Because as a fullback, what's his next backup? I'm a backup fullback, and not only that, I'm also a backup tight end. And guess what else I can be? I can be a backup on defense,
yeah.
or I could be a backup on the line.
I
So he's thinking about everything else. That's what a backup quarterback is thinking about. He ain't thinking about, hey, I can be a backup wide receiver. No, I can be a backup quarterback. That's what a backup quarterback is thinking. I can be a backup quarterback,
Yep. No, you're absolutely
and
right.
that's the difference.
And he's sitting there
And he would
he's
have
sitting there
studied the
taking up a
play.
roster spot. He's sitting there
Yes,
taking up a roster spot.
but guess what? Hey Marv, it's called worst case, worst scenario, and nobody would in God Green's Earth would have thought about that. But guess what? They should have because of. I mean, I would have thought of it
I,
just because of percussion protocol. So look,
yeah. The
Look,
concussion protocol would have had me have my emergency quarterback. Hey, get a few snaps at quarterback, son. Hand it
no,
off.
not a few. No, not a few
Yes.
snaps. How about get a real quarterback and you do real quarterback things? Because guess what? The way that the NFL is trying to save their image and the way that people are getting hurt, no, they're not. They're not going through that. Dude
Oh,
hit his head on that play. Guess what they told him? Hey, you out for the game.
well, ain't no
But
sense
but
of
but but, but
ain't no
remember
sense
back
of
in the
arguing
day,
this because they
I know. But
done.
remember back in the day, Steve Young and them, they used to play the rest of the game with a concussion.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They give him some smelling sauce. Walk that off and get right back out on
And
the
keep
field.
it moving. NFL said, never again, buddy.
NFL doctors said never
Hey,
again
hey, the
NFL.
doctor, hey, I stand corrected. You right on that. The doctor said never again, and guess what?
and the and, and the lawyer said never again NFL.
So the lawyer said, "Hey, not only is your dude hurt, but he can only hand off with his left hand, but
Right.
but your backup quarterback, he ain't only thing he handed off is telling the doctor, yeah, I'm finished with this smelling sauce. Can I have another one? Hey, dude, you can
Right.
smell all the smelling sauce you want. You ain't going to that game. Matter of fact, let me get that helmet."
Right.
And
Dude,
now
what
the backup quarterback is saying, I studied the plays for the guard, I studied the games for the tight end, and I studied fullback. I did not study
what
the third,
yeah.
the emergency quarterback book.
Well look,
That's a lot of homework to do.
while you playing back in the 90s, 80s, I mean anything before the 2000s. That's how they played, yo. You went out there, you were doing it for the team. You didn't even know
You,
your own name.
hey, hey, know your whole name. Hey, you say, yeah, what play he called? Hey, man, I'm just gonna run the fly route. Hope that he
Right.
throws it. Hey, hope he throws a fly route, man.
Yo, yo, man, that was crazy back then, man. I can't believe
Yeah,
people used to play with head injuries like that, yo. So who you got winning the Super Bowl, man?
man, I can say the fact that the way that the Eagles control the ball, that's number
Mm,
one. And number two, the defense, because they are always playing fresh the way that the offense gives them that good rest.
right,
And
right.
the more they do the three and outs or the eight and outs, and the more that
The
hurts
eight
are able,
outs.
yeah, 8 plays and you out. You know,
I never
you
heard it
know,
like that.
yeah. Yeah, three and outs and eight and outs, because you only
Okay.
gonna do 8 strong plays, and guess what? I'm kicking you off the field.
Yes,
You
sir.
get one first down, all right, got it. But the next three, hey son, you out.
Yeah.
So now I'm back on the sideline and Hurts eating up 5, 6 minutes, at a time. That I come back fresh again. It's a real big difference, and I think it takes a toll on them big boys. But here's the thing. Here's the thing that we talk more about this next week, but we're gonna talk about some of the historical things and how does the halftime adjustment with that long break in between. Because remember, the halftime show is like a concert,
Mm-hmm.
and it's more, and it's not the average rest time. So anything that you was taking for as a booster, it's pretty much worn off. But we'll
Mm.
talk about that more that next week. But right now, dealing with your original question, I'm going Philly. Philly right now, I think they stacked. And when I say stacked, Mahomes is going to play good ball. Mahomes is going to keep them in the game. But I don't think that defense, with the way that they blitz, they're not going to be able to touch Hurts like they touched Burrows. They're not going to be able to do that. And since you can't touch them up, now you're looking at that secondary, and I can see those Smith and those guys getting real big games.
Okay. Okay. Well, you know how I feel about the Eagles, and you know how I feel about this dynamic offense. Now that Hurts has, mastered the passing game with the Eagles and the fact that they take deep shots. Like 49ers have a really, really good defense. I mean, like, we got to give credit to that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
Eagles still dropped 31 on them. And I saw some plays. I saw some
Easy day
plays,
ones.
an easy 31, but there was some great defensive plays made by the 49ers. Like they were giving up the deep pass. And even the one deep pass that was caught in the first on the for the first touchdown that was on the fourth down play for the Eagles,
It wasn't catch.
he dropped it. He dropped it. That defender knocked that ball out of his hands. And they made plays like that all throughout the games because they were giving up the deep ball. And then the Eagles, this is what I talk about. The Eagles say, you know what? Forget it. You can't stop our run anyway. So we're going to run these RPOs where I'm going to hold that defensive end so he cannot crash down.
Mm.
And I'm going to run right up the middle. And they had three running backs. Well, three players, two running backs, and Jalen Hurts had 11 carries for over 40 yards a game, nearly 50 yards this game. So they had 150 yards between three players. And that's all you need, yo. That's all you need. And they
That's a
get
lot
they
of, and the thing about it was that was a lot of clock that came with that.
yes,
There's a
yes.
lot of clock. So it's not so much as the yards, it's the clock.
It's the clock.
I mean,
It's
time of
sustaining
possession.
drive, sustaining drives. And you don't have to rely on your passing to
Hmm.
keep you in the game. You can run a balanced attack. And before I go into that, let me just kind of address the question that was asked last week about this whole idea that no mobile quarterback has made it to the Super Bowl or I guess won a Super Bowl. I'm not even exactly sure what the question was, but it's this
Preach.
question of people who can run fast apparently can't throw. It's the most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard. But let's name quarterbacks who were considered runners during their time who have taken their teams to the Super Bowl. Now, you may not think of them as runners, but they were runners, and they were runners at their time. Fran Tarkington. Now, they may have used different language back then. They may have said scramblers, but that was a running quarterback. They didn't stay in the pocket. So Fran Tarkington, that's a lot. He was before my time, but yeah, he
Mm.
was the Minnesota Vikings quarterback, and he was considered a runner. He made it
Preach.
to the Super Bowl, I think, three times and lost with the Vikings. There's also one guy that you may not remember. His name is John Elway. Yes, John Elway was a running quarterback, a very athletic one, even in college. And then when he got to the pros with the Broncos, and he led the Broncos to three Super Bowls, three of them. And I think they were in a row, three Super Bowls. And he did it by himself. He didn't have very many weapons and he did it running and throwing. Now you may look at his numbers as it's not significant. Well, yeah, they played 16 games back then, and offenses wasn't as dynamic as it is today. But he was considered a runner. And the here's another one from back in the day, not too long ago. Steve Young. He was definitely considered a runner.
Facts.
He went to a Super Bowl and won. And then let me go back to John Elway. John Elway went to five Super Bowls. He won two.
Facts.
Runner. There's
Same
another.
same thing as Mahomes.
Same thing as Mahomes. Here's another one. Donovan McNabb. He was definitely considered a runner. Donovan McNabb took the Eagles to the Super Bowl. They lost to the Patriots, but they were a very good team. And he went to, was it four NFC conference games with the Eagles? Yeah. Donovan McNabb, runner. Help.
Facts.
One other one. You may remember him. It was just recent. Running quarterback. And this is the new age of a running quarterback where they actually had designed run plays from him. His name is Cam Newton. Yes, he took the Carolina Panthers to the Super Bowl. Yes, Cam Newton. And now we have Jalen Hurts, a quarterback that actually runs design running plays, and he's very likely to win the Super Bowl. So, can we stop this nonsense about quarterbacks who can run a 4-4 or 4-2 somehow can't throw? Because it's not true.
It's ludicrous, and it goes back to, you can only talk about what you understand, and what you don't understand is that when you're able to extend the play, there are not that many Deion Sanders in the league that can hold a player for more than 6 seconds.
Right,
Maybe five at the most.
right. I don't even know if that much, maybe three.
So you're looking at trying to hold someone bump coverage 5 seconds and deflect the ball, not give up a
Yeah,
catch.
yeah,
Deflect the ball.
yeah.
All routes, all route trees. I'm lining up you on you, mano y mano, and I'm gonna hold you for 10 seconds. Because that's what the scramble does. That's what the rollout does. And not only that, the quarterback is always unaccounted for. And now with a mobile quarterback, guess what? I played true 11 on 11 defense.
And like you said before, that free safety, he's no longer free.
Oh, he's no longer free. That's a new position. You can change the name on that one. He's not a free safety no
He's
more.
not a free safety no more. He
You
has a
have an
job.
assignment.
He
You have a
has a
job.
no longer free.
You're no longer
so
free.
so yeah, and another good point is that when those defenders turn their back and they playing man-to-man coverage on that receiver and they're trying to hold him for 3 to 5 seconds, well, hey, you know what? That quarterback can run right behind them, and they will never see him running. So it's insane to suggest, but we we
15, 20, 30 yards. Yeah.
yeah, 15, 20, 30 yards easy. And another point that you made, yeah, I I purposely didn't mention his name, Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, yeah, people don't see him as much of a runner, but if you watch him play, he's a runner. He scrambles around. I'll use the word scramble. He scrambles around and he buys time to get his receivers open. Does it all the time, and he does it with a great arm. So I'm going with the Eagles on this. Not so much because because the Chiefs aren't a good team. I'm doing this because I'm still concerned about that ankle with Patrick Mahomes. And it takes more than a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks for a high ankle sprain to heal. He was gimpy around there. He made it work, but he was gimpy. A lot of credit goes to that Chiefs defense for what they did on Joe Burrow and the
But
Bengals offense.
is he really the MVP? Because now you're looking at 326 yards on one leg.
Yeah. Once again, it's a regular season award. I can't give it to him because of this game.
But you can't ignore it either.
Yeah, I can't ignore it, but I can't give it to me. My MVP is Jalen Hurts.
Okay. I mean, fair enough. But I say this just because of the handing of the GOAT trophy, from Mahomes to Burrows. They weren't even going to hand it. They was going to take it. You had
Mm,
people that were actually, Joe hasn't, to me, Joe body of work is impressive, but it's not enough to talk GOAT.
mm.
It's not enough to talk GOAT. It's enough to talk about you're lucky and
Calling the
so
man lucky.
I need to see next year. Want to tell you why I need to see? And here's why. Deshaun Watson's gonna come back with a full season of preparation underneath
Yeah,
his
yeah,
belt.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And let's not ignore that he's one of the most dynamic, quarterbacks out there, and that's why he made that money. Outside of the issues that he has, so in his social life,
Yep.
he was a dynamic football player. We cannot ignore that. And
Nope.
let's go ahead and put into play that the Baltimore Ravens, if they do the right thing and get their head out their backside, will be able to grab Lamar, and Lamar will be able to play football the way he's been playing. And last time I checked, the Raven when Lamar went down, the Ravens were in first place.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And
he still has to battle through two dynamic quarterbacks. So the league is not going to be handed to him, and he's not playing in a weak division.
yeah, well,
And the Pittsburgh Steelers are not gonna roll over and play dead either.
no, no, they're not. And you got some other quarterbacks, Justin Herbert. You got some other guys in that conference that are going to be there, and Trevor Lawrence.
A
You know,
lot.
you got a lot. So we'll see. I mean, it's still impressive to go to the AFC Championship game 2 years in a row in a,
Body of
in a
work is impressive.
in a conference that has Mahomes, Josh Allen,
I'm
Lamar,
not so much as
Justin
on Josh
Herbert.
Allen, but we'll talk about that at a later date.
Yeah. But look, let's talk about the really big game that's coming up. The game that has everybody excited, right? Come on, man. Let's talk about the Pro Bowl. Come on, man. What games do they have happening in the Pro Bowl?
Man,
We
it's
got
a complete
dodgeball.
man. This thing has become a complete utter circus, man. When you're talking about, the Pro Bowl 2003 features dodgeball, water balloons, golf, and flag football. And wait, there may be more. I'm like, folks, just cancel it.
Yeah, just cancel this foolishness.
Just cancel it. I
We
mean,
don't need it.
We don't need it. I mean, this is and this is the problem that you have behind playing a volatile sport is that you want to be able to recreate and have, the Tecmo Bowl when you have all the
Right.
all the
You,
quarterbacks and
you,
all the great quarterbacks and all the great linebackers all playing.
you know what? You bring up a good point. Why not just have it as a video game? Have them all compete in a video game. That'll probably be more exciting than seeing these dudes compete in dodgeball and
They
flag
appear on the
football.
field in virtual reality because that's the only way
Yeah,
that that game is going to get. Because nobody, I mean, and let's look at it from a real standpoint. Nobody's going to waste their money maker, which is their body, on a game that doesn't count.
right, right.
That's non-briefable material. Even for guys that are first-time Pro Bowlers
But
that were slightly to make it.
but even with that, think about this. Think about the selections for the Pro Bowl.
I'm going to get out the way. So, do I
Yeah,
find it? Do I? Hey.
go ahead. I want you to explain.
Huntley, hey, Huntley, that pick right there.
Uh,
That's my Huntley. That's my guy. I'm a ball. Hey, anybody know me? I'm a Baltimore Raven, ride or die.
come
You
on,
know,
Don.
I
Don.
I, I ride so hard for Baltimore that when the Colts left, I didn't even watch football. I watched football, but I didn't cheer for nobody. And we got a Canadian football team, and we won the Canadian Football League, and
Man,
I was so excited. So for me to go
man,
against Huntley and
stop it.
say that he doesn't deserve it,
Stop it. Just stop. If this is a voice of reason, man, just stop. That dude threw 2 touchdowns this season, 3 interceptions. He has no business in the Pro Bowl. Stop it.
he listen,
You
Mark.
can't even
He
come up with
he
anything.
he does not belong in our old traditional Pro Bowl. This new age Pro Bowl, he fits right in with the
you don't even
dodgeball,
you don't even
flag
believe this.
football, and the golf and the water balloon fight. He fits right in. He earned his spot.
Okay, okay, fair enough, fair enough. Considering that this is a clown show, yeah, okay, yeah, he belongs. He belongs in this foolishness. Just stop it. NFL, stop it. This is the voice of reason. Stop this Pro Bowl foolishness. Just call it all pro selections and be done with it. That way you can have Patrick Mahomes where he belongs as the all pro selection. You can have the other 2 quarterbacks listed, Josh Allen and whoever the other third person is, whether it's Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow, whatever. Just name them and be done with it. We don't need a game. We don't need a water balloon fight of
Mm-mm.
Pro Bowl selections. With
Now I believe that they can do an all talent show to see who has the most accuracy. We
oh,
could do. We can. We
I
can.
thought
We
you'd
can
been
re.
like karaoke or
Yeah.
something.
No. We can reinvent the combine. But do I need a show for that? No.
No, no.
No. But here's the thing. I can actually say that hats off to Philadelphia. They had 8, the most selectees, as far as 8 players and 6 of them starters.
Deservingly so.
The Cowboys, and the Chiefs, they were next, as far as highest rated in the 7 selections and things of that nature. So, shout outs to those teams, but it's a disgrace. Now you got the AFC, the coaches, you're looking at Hall of Famer, Peyton Manning, then you're looking at Ray Lewis as defensive coordinator, and then Mexican flag football team quarterback, what their name, Dana Flores as a offensive coordinator, and then you're looking at, Eli Manning being the head coach of the NFC, DeMarcus Ware defensive coordinator, and U.S. Women's flag football national quarterback and as an offensive coordinator. I mean, this is just disgusting. But here's the thing that kind of caught me by surprise. I understand the Bears getting a non-select, but far as a starter and the Jaguars. they got kind of shrugged. They made the playoffs and they couldn't get no one as a starter. They had to get someone on the alternate list.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of peculiar to me because I mean,
Trevor Lawrence.
it's not so much as Trevor Lawrence, but I'm looking at the linebacker. For say, I know I'm gonna mess up his name. OU, Olu, Conlon, and then you're looking at the punter, Logan Cook. But the linebacker, he had 156 total tackles, which was the highest, in the NFL, and that's out of and out of that 156 total tackles, 100 of them were solo tackles.
Mm,
So that means a lot, and I got it. Somebody probably beat him up for that. But guess who it wasn't? It wasn't the number one person that tackles in the NFL.
right.
So I still think it's a popularity contest, and I still think they got a lot to figure out when it comes down to that game, especially the design of it, and then are they really giving the fans what they want?
Like I said, just stop it. We don't need the game. Just end it. Just name the players. Bring them all to Las Vegas. Do a talent show. I'm talking real talent. I'm talking karaoke, fashion. Let them play poker. That would be must see TV for me, like a
Yeah.
big poker tournament. But
hmm
actually going out on the field, they're making sure they don't get injured. Don't even do it. I don't even want to see a water balloon fight. That's just silly. Just stop it. So let's transition to a sport where they actually going to play for the All Star game.
All right, let's do that. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, if they're not going to have a water balloon fight, it's pretty close to a water balloon fight out there with
But
Steph Curry shooting half court 3-pointers.
well, let's talk about the standards first. I mean, what the standards look like, with the
What
Eastern
what
Conference.
the standings in the Eastern Conference and in the Western Conference in NBA right now? I mean, well, let's start with the Western Conference, right? Because I want to start with my Pelicans, right? We were number one in the conference, and my God, I blinked my eyes, and now we're on a 9-game losing streak. Like, what the hell just happened? I don't know. We went from first to 10th in the conference. It's crazy. And then the crazy part about it is that between the fifth seed and the 10th seed is separated by 2 games.
Mhm.
So it's crazy. 1 or 2 games. It's crazy. So we'll see what happens. I'm hoping Brandon Ingram and Zion are able to make their way back and play healthy, but I think they're gonna shut them down until the All-Star game and then bring them back afterwards. But right now we need is all hands on deck. We got to
Yeah.
get this.
So you're looking at the top six teams, the Western Conference, and
Yeah.
I think Denver's going to stay at the top.
Yep.
I think the Grizzlies haven't
They're gonna
proven
stay up there.
anything, but I see them staying within the top six.
Yep.
I still got Sacramento Kings, surprising. Right
Mm,
now, they number 3 right now.
yeah,
Can't
they're
sleep
number.
on them.
But I mean, they got
Overall,
28 wins, and the Pelicans got 26 at 10. So any
not
slip
much.
ups,
It's not much separation.
yeah,
A sprained ankle. But
yeah,
right now they holding steady. The
yeah, they're doing a
Clippers,
good job.
even with load management, I still see them, making the playoffs and being the team to, have to deal with. Golden State, they are too deep. They are having people they keep sending back and forth to the G League because they can't get them enough burn, for
Mm,
them to
yep,
have realistic play, which I think is ingenious, from Steve Kerr to say, hey, I can't get you enough burn up here. I can't figure out how to get you in the rotation. I'm not gonna put that pressure on me. Go down to the D League and be great.
yep, 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 yep. No, it's
And
smart.
now, but Dallas,
I don't know what to make of them.
they
They got,
need help. He needs help.
yeah, I agree with you, but are
And
they gonna get it? They hadn't
so
gotten
so
them help in years.
he needs help. And here's the other thing, and we'll get into it when we talk about players. Because remind me, to talk about him when I talking to players. But I see him as being a dynamic player but there are some attributes that I'm gonna talk about when we talk about, who's the players to watch for in the later rounds. When it comes down to, catapulting their team. But I think Dallas needs to make a move in order to get him some help. You looking at Phoenix? Phoenix right now, I think Phoenix, Booker he's looking to come back, but
Yep.
that locker room is a turmoil. Something's going on in that locker room that's going on, and it's not and it's spilling out on the court. That's the same thing for the Timberwolves. Something's going on in that locker room that's spilling out on the court. You got a lot of good young players on the team, but they haven't figured out how to gel together. You got two different types of personalities on the floor, which means there's two different types of cliques of
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. And the crazy thing about it, that might be Dallas's opportunity to get a good player. If there's turmoil on these teams,
I think
they
Dallas
might be
needs
willing to deal.
So I'm glad you said wheel and deal, because I think Dallas needs to look at teams that are looking like, hey, I ain't got nothing to fight for. I need to fold it up. So some of those teams that are at the bottom that you're looking at, like Detroit, you're looking at Charlotte, you're looking at also the
Orlando.
Rockets, Orlando, the Spurs. Those are teams that aren't going to make a run, aren't in the race at all, and they could be saying, let me grab two players and rebuild.
But here's a team you could probably get a steal from. Chicago. Chicago is underachieving big time, and they got 3 stars.
I got it, but
and a bunch of role players that you can take from.
But let's finish out the Western Conference.
Yeah.
So you got Minnesota. I said locker, but the Jazz. You thought the Jazz was gonna fold when they Gobert and they traded that
Donovan
all-star,
Mitchell.
that point guard. And as you said before, the Pelicans. What are they gonna do? But here's the thing: LeBron, AD coming back. They're in the bottom half. And also, you can never count out Dame Dash. So those two are in the basement that I can say that can turn it on at any time and can carry their team. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I ain't worried about
That's
the
my
Lakers.
breakdown on the West.
Not really worried about the Lakers and Mr. Glass, whether he comes back or not. Doesn't matter. I mean, looking at the Western Conference, right? I mean, it's a log jam. So it's a log jam here. But I can tell you this. The true contenders in this conference are the Nuggets, the Grizzlies. I think the Warriors can turn it on whenever they want.
Facts.
So, and the Warriors, and I'm going with Dallas. I think Dallas is going to make a midseason trade and become a contender.
So the trade deadline is February 9th.
Well, they're going to make a move. I can see them making a move, stealing one of those stars from Chicago.
So let's jump up to the East, because Boston playing right now and beating the brakes
Yes, sir.
off of Brooklyn.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Durant, wake up, son. Where's the smelling sauce? Man, Charles Barkley said, man, you've been a passenger on the bus. Man, this is crazy.
Yeah, but I like what's happening in Boston. I like what they're doing in Boston. They always play good defense. And now, they can get some consistent scoring out there. I like what they're doing in Boston. Milwaukee is just steady. Milwaukee.
But looking at Boston, that three game, they can stretch that floor, which actually helps out, big guys that they got, because they got Horford, and then they still got Williams. So they still got some big. They got big bodies that can bang.
Yeah, they got big bodies,
and they got shooters.
But not only that, this what makes them so good on defense. They got big bodies out there that can switch on every play, and each one of them, with their size and height and length, they give you the same intensity on defense. Right? It's not like when you switch and you get Steph Curry on a big guy. You got to help him up. Boston don't need to do that. So that's what makes them so tough on defense, and in the fact that they can score at will. That's a tough team, man. That's a tough.
Very tough. So you mentioned Milwaukee. Talk to me about them. I
Man,
mean, because the depth of that roster,
yeah.
I'm looking. You got Holiday, you got Allen, you got Milton. He's back, and
Okay.
even though he's not 100%, it's just him finding that rhythm.
Yep.
Because he's just like instant cream of wheat. You add hot water, that's a meal. He can
Oh
drop
yeah.
he can drop an easy 20, 30 on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got to respect him on the floor. And the Greek Freak,
Yeah.
hey, I call him Mr. Coast to Coast.
Yes, sir.
But what about that Philly? Because they got
Philly?
another. They got a 1-2 punch.
Yes, sir. But the crazy part about it, Joel Embiid is leading the league in scoring. Leading the league in scoring. And I'm gonna bring it
Who
up
can
now.
stop him?
Who can stop him, man? How did he not get enough votes to be a starter in the All-Star game? We'll get to that.
Hey,
The disrespect.
Hey.
The disrespect. Joel
Yeah.
Embiid, really?
Mm.
Doesn't get is not a starter in the All-Star game?
And he gave out 2 nights ago. He gave out work.
Mm.
He gave out work to them Denver Nuggets, man.
Yes,
and
sir.
He dropped a smooth. I mean, like, hey, big guy get big man. Hey, he gave the Joker the business.
Did he?
Yes, he did. From 3 land off the dribble, mid range, it looked like he was unguardable, and he did. And I think he sent a message to everybody to let everybody know I'm the best big man in this league.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, without a doubt. I mean,
Hands down.
Antetokounmpo's there, but I don't think he can give you the all around game that Joel Embiid gives you.
Embiid can shoot. He shoots that 3. He
Yep.
shoots that mid range, and he can get you off the bounce, go straight to the board, and bang on you. I mean, that's all 3 right there. I'm like, man, hey, God bless you, and that's what the Joker needed to help him that night, because God didn't answer.
but man, I'm gonna just quickly say this about Joel, the Joker. Like, it's amazing to see a point center take
Now,
the ball up the court. That is new. That is
Yes.
totally new to this game, yo.
But
Now,
his
we see
body
point
shape-
forward,
Yes.
but we never saw a point center.
But his body shape kind of fools you because he's athletic. And
Yeah,
I love his condition. But like you said, we'll talk about that a little bit more.
we'll talk. Yeah,
Yeah, look at New York. I mean the Brooklyn Nets. They standing strong, even though you got Durant. He's leaving him out there by himself. Kyrie is unguardable. Let's go ahead and put that out there.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Uncle
yeah.
Drew.
Oh yeah,
Uncle Drew, for most parts, got 5 people guarding him.
yeah. Uncle Drew. Yeah, Uncle Drew is a baller. I mean, there's no question about it. A little crazy, but he's a baller.
Hey, Cleveland is a team that nobody wants to play.
You're right. And much respect to the Cavaliers. I think they found their man in Donovan Mitchell. Man, I love what I'm seeing out of it. They are my surprise team of the year. Yeah, Donovan Mitchell put them back on the map and making them forget about LeBron.
And they have a roster. Big man, small man,
Yeah,
and other playmakers on that team.
yeah.
They a matchup nightmare, and let's go to Miami, because I think Miami, they're dynamic. They're in the top 6, but they got to make a move right now. I don't know what they need, but they need something. Because right now, they have enough to be in the top 6, but is it really enough?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think it's enough to be top 6, but I don't think it's enough to get them to that second round of that playoff.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. The Eastern Conference is top heavy.
Yes. And let's talk about that, that mid-range. You got New York, Atlanta, Washington, and you got the Pacers. I'll start off with New York.
Do we need to talk about them?
No, New York. New York, I'm surprised New York passed up on Donovan.
Yeah. Well, I think they went all in on Brunson. And
They got a solid team. I mean,
oh yeah, they got a solid team. Yeah.
Barrett, RJ Barrett, you got
Yeah.
Randall,
Yeah.
Mr. Left hand only. I think Cam Reddish is gonna have to step up a little bit more.
But Randall puts the ball in the hole, man. He gets buckets.
He gets to that free throw line.
Yeah, yeah. He gets to the free throw line and he gets you buckets. No matter he one thing he could do is shoot, man. He just scores.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I I, I like what's happening. My contenders in the Eastern Conference is
Let's
pretty
go.
simple. It's pretty
Mm,
simple. It's
mm.
Boston, it's Milwaukee, you know, and Philadelphia. Now here's where it gets tricky, right? Finding that fourth team. And I think that fourth team is going to be Miami. I think they're going to get it together. They're going to make that trade and they're going to get themselves back in that fourth spot. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I
They're gonna-
disagree. That fourth seed and is contentious on Durant's health.
Mm.
Because when him and Kyrie Irving on the floor, I don't need no other scores. He can score 50, score 50. We good.
Yeah. I just don't think that roster works, man.
I think they're working through it, but you cannot deny the fact that
Oh, yeah.
they have 3-point shooters. Durant he stretches the floor
Yeah.
and from the three in he can get it in. And Kyrie, Mr. Disco Stroll, he go down the middle like a Soul Train line and nobody stopping him.
No, it's true. It's true. I mean, but still in all, it's just, I just don't think it's a roster that works. I don't think it's going to
Mhm.
hold together. Right now, they've won 4 of their last 10 games. So they're kind of, cooling off.
Mhm.
Miami's heating up right now.
Yeah, 7-10.
Yeah, 7 out of their last 10. So I think it's this is a part of the season where things start to heat up for the NBA, and this is what we're gonna start making our transition to our listeners. We're gonna start making our transition to the NBA. We're gonna start talking about these games. We're gonna start making our predictions. We're really gonna dive in come March when we talk about NCAA March Madness, and then we're going to dive into NBA basketball in the playoffs. So stick around with us. But right now, my real contenders in the Eastern Conference: Boston, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, and Miami. Who you got? Who's your 14? You said your
I'm a,
14 is the Nets.
yeah. So I mean that fourth team, I'm gonna have to switch it out. Miami, I don't think is going to have enough. But my fourth team, let's go say, let's for argument's sake,
The Wizards.
let's live in the reality. No, oh my God, the Wizards, they done sold their soul. But I'm gonna say Cleveland.
Cleveland. I like the pick. I'm afraid to make that pick.
I'm gonna make it because I like Donovan, and
I,
I think they got a defensive presence in the
oh
middle.
yeah. I just need a little bit more. I just need to see a little bit more.
I
I'm
think.
not ready to commit to them. I'm not ready to put a ring on it. I gotta see a little bit more. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. No, Cleveland, you look nice. You look good. I'm excited for you. But yeah, I'm not committing to you yet. I'm going with Old Faithful. I'm going with the Heat. Old Faithful.
Oh man. Yeah.
But
So
so
what about that All-Star game? Because they got it coming up and
yeah, well, so far they've already made the selections for the starters in the Western
hmm
Conference. We got Steph, we got Luca, we got LeBron, we got Joker,
hmm
and we got Zion. Zion is an
mm.
all-star starter. So yeah, a classic. It's a popularity contest. As
Yes, it
much as
is.
I
Yes, it
love
is.
Zion, I don't believe Zion should have been a starter, but definitely an all-star. Maybe in a reserve, but not a starter. But popularity contest, and yes, I voted for him anyway too. So, Eastern Conference, Eastern Conference starters. We have Durant. We got Uncle Drew, Antetokounmpo. We got Donovan Mitchell, most deserving, and then we got Tatum. So I don't know. For some reason I don't know how I feel about Durant and Kyrie being starters in here. And once again, popularity contest. I think Joel should have been in here.
Yeah.
Maybe Kyrie not in here, and Joel Embiid, Antetokounmpo, Durant, Mitchell, and Tatum made more sense to me.
Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot because now we got to talk about what did right look like? What was right? What was right about that
Well,
pick?
well, I mean, who do you think doesn't belong? Who shouldn't be a starter here?
Hmm. Let's look at which one you want to start with. Start with the West.
Yeah, I said with the West, Zion. I didn't think he deserved to be a starter. In the East, I didn't think Kyrie deserved to be a starter. But and that's more feelings over facts with
Yeah, yeah.
Kyrie.
Kyrie, I think right now I think Kyrie's a starter just because of the work that he's putting in. Then the absence of LeBron. I mean, absence of Durant.
Okay,
I
I can
mean,
go along with that.
that right there. I think that's a pretty fair lineup. I mean, you're looking at the Great Freak, Tatum, definitely.
Definitely, there's no question
I
about
don't, I,
Tatum.
I don't, I don't think Durant should have been there. I think
Mm,
Durant missed too many games for any type
okay,
of consideration.
okay, and maybe that's it. Because like I told you, I don't know how I feel about both of them being there. Because
No,
one of
no,
them don't deserve to be there. And you're right, Durant has missed a lot of games.
Durant missed too many games. So now you gotta say, well, who should have replaced him?
Joel Embiid,
Embiid.
Embiid.
Thank you.
Embiid deserves to be here as a starter. It is a crime that he's not a starter. So yeah, Embiid. So I
And there's no way that I got it. The fans gonna vote the way the fans vote.
yep.
So that's the only pick that I look at. And if you're looking at God play, Donovan, yeah, he got the votes, but is he really balling out more than Hard?
Is he balling out more than Harden? I would say I would
Harden,
say
look
I
at
would
his
say he is.
assists, his point assist ratio.
But we're
Woo.
talking about a Cleveland team
Okay.
where he is truly the star of this team, and he had the 70-point game. You gotta
Mm.
go to with Donovan Mitchell. You got to.
That's a compelling argument, so I'll
Yeah.
ride with that. But I definitely would take Durant off, and the reason I
Okay.
take his body of work. It's
I
not
can go
that
along
he's
with that.
not. It's not that he's not an all-star, but Embiid body of work
Oh,
says
absolutely.
all-star. When he steps on that court, all-star. And I got it. It's a popularity contest, and you're going to play because you're popular. Got it. But
Yeah.
I think that you know, and for the guard play, I still say I'm gonna go with James Harden over Donovan Mitchell just because of the things
Mm,
that Harden sacrificed in order for Philadelphia to be a top tier performing team.
right, right. Mm.
Because let's not act like Harden can't go out there and drop 50 every night.
Yeah,
We
that's
seen
true.
it. We seen it with the Rockets.
Yeah, yeah, when he had to. You're right about that. Okay, well, let's go on and wrap this thing up. You know, hey, to our listeners out there, thanks for joining us again. As I said before, as the football season wraps up, we're going to start transitioning over to basketball. So stick around with us. We're going to continue to give you our predictions, our recaps, and we're going to talk more about what's happening in the NBA and in college basketball. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you next week.